evening or good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to this much-awaited ClanCast. We're live all around the world right now, bringing together readers and fans united in their passion for Michelle Paver's books. And that's far from all. The special live show is also being broadcast by Radio Litopia, coming to you from Litopia Writers Colony, the net's oldest community for writers. A big welcome to all Litopians, too. Now, before we hear from Michelle, let me tell you about how you can take part in today's live event. The first thing to do is to come to the chat room. It's open now and waiting for you to drop in. This is where you come to, litopia.tv/rad, R-A-D. Make sure you choose a good name, click the join button, and you're in. On the same page, you'll see even more good things. There's an audio player, of course, but even better, at the foot of the page, there's live video too. My advice is to turn the audio player off and listen and watch to the live video, coming to you from live stream. But in any case, you've got a choice of several different ways to take part in today's live event. Audio, video, and of course, the chat room. And there's more. Some lucky people will be able to speak live to Michelle if you want to, and if you haven't given us your name yet, don't worry. I'll be telling you how you might be able to speak to Michelle live a little later on. So stay with us and listen out for that information, and even more. On top of all that, we'll be giving personally signed and dedicated copies of Michelle's latest book away. You may be one of those chosen, so stick around and find out. But now, it's that time we've been so keenly waiting for. The moment when we hear from Michelle herself. We've got questions, she's got the answers. Clanners, Litopians, denizens of the internet, I give you Michelle Paver.
Thanks very much. Well, hello everybody. It's really, really nice of you to join me. I'm experiencing kind of a strange feeling because I spent 5 hours this morning in the Bronze Age, in the Mediterranean, writing, and now I'm here in front of a whole bank of technology, and that's what happens when you write books. You go from the one extreme to the other, but it's wild thinking that I've just been told there's somebody in Sydney who's got up, in Sydney, Australia, that is, who's got up at 1 a.m. to be with us, so welcome to you and everybody else, obviously. That's real dedication. Isn't
that fantastic?
So I'm really looking forward to hearing what you've got to say.
Exactly. Now then, we've got to introduce Andrea next, of course. Andrea is known to absolutely every single person in the clan. Hello, Andrea.
Hello.
How are you?
I am fine.
Excellent.
I'm excited. This is a first for the clan. So.
It is. Yes. But we've not just got Andrea. We've also, of course, this is a joint event with Radio Litopia. We have the people that you hear regularly on Sunday evenings. Ali in the chat room, and also Dave Bartram. Hello, Ali.
Hello, hi, how are you doing?
Very good. Looking forward to a good hour and a half today. And Dave. Hello, Dave.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. It's sunny, and I'm reclining in my boudoir, so that's
very
all
nice.
Good.
I'm not sure that's a good image, actually.
No, I don't think I want that image either.
You put whichever image you wish to. Like, I don't mind.
Fine.
Okay, I've just switched image. That's better.
Excellent. Now then, Andrea, I think it would be a good idea to come to you first, please. We know there are certain issues. Yes, we know there are certain issues on clanners' minds at the moment. What is uppermost? What's the question that everybody wants answered?
Everyone wants to know more about Gods and Warriors. Obviously, I mean, there's a specific question from Warrior Firewolf who's asking if there are any big plans for it that, that Michelle can let us in on.
Oh, wow. Are there any big plans for it, for Gods and Warriors? Yes, I've got loads of plans for it. Question of how much I can let you in on. Well, I think I've told you... it depends on how much you know. There are 5 books, which I've planned all of them in my head, just as I did with Chronicles of Ancient Darkness. That doesn't mean they're not going to change, because I'm already getting to know the characters a bit better. Set in the Mediterranean, the Bronze Age, as I said. Now, that may not mean that much to many of you. It doesn't mean much to me when I started writing it, but this is before the kind of classical Greece. This is before the Trojan War. This is the Greece of the Mycenaeans. It's the Crete of the Minoans. It's the Egypt of the pharaohs. So we're about 3,500 years ago. there are two main human characters, I should say. There's a boy called Hylas and a girl called Pyrrha. I don't think I want to tell you any more about them because I really don't want to spoil things for you when you read the book. It's very exciting, I have to say. I'm finding it. I mean, this is why I mentioned, when I spent 5 hours in it this morning, and I was somewhere called the House of the Goddess, which is kind of a scary place to be, but fun as well. That's what I can tell you.
That's fair enough, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. All right, let me just tell you now. We are going to be speaking to some clanners. In fact, I'm going to call one right now, actually. Let's try and speak to Sly Wolf. But if you're in the chat room and you want to ask Michelle a question, then please do, because we've not just got Ellie, who's always in the chat room, we've also got Andrea too. So they will be picking up your questions and asking Michelle directly. Now, I'm wondering, Sly Wolf, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
So I'm in New York.
You're in New York?
No.
Okay. Well, you're live talking to Michelle right now.
Hello. Your name is Sly Wolf, is that right?
Yes.
Well, you're coming through loud and clear. I am very impressed with your knowledge of technology. I wouldn't be able to do this. So what's your question? It's great to talk to you.
This was probably said in the books before, but I just wanted to know what was what a salmon cake was exactly. It was probably described in the book somewhere, but
yeah. It's
a good question.
It's a good question. Yeah. I don't think I did describe it in a lot of detail, so it is a good question. It's an old technology. A lot of these things, the ideas for the foods and the medicines, I didn't make up. I got them from real cultures. I think it's going back a bit now, but I think I got the idea for the salmon cakes from some of the tribes on the Pacific Northwest of Canada. They eat a lot of fish, and they have the great big salmon runs, when all the salmon come up river to spawn. So they get a lot of salmon, and they have a technology where they can dry the salmon, and it's usually in the sun. And then when it's gone kind of dry and hard, they grind it up till it's sort of almost like bits, powdery, and then they mix it with fat, animal fat or the salmon fat, and sometimes with dried, I think it's juniper berries that they use in Wren's particular kind of salmons. That's why Wolf talks about the flat fish without eyes that smell of juniper berries. So it's a good question. I have never eaten them myself, I have to say. It's always something I meant to get round to doing.
That's great. Can I ask a question?
Dave. Dave
fits in.
Yeah.
It is, yes. Right. Well, I think I am. People do shout that at me in the street, so I assume that's my name.
Okay.
That kind of chimes with something I've been thinking. Because I read the Chronicles of Ancient Darkness a little while ago and enjoyed them enormously. And
good, thank you.
Then, out of interest, I picked up some of your adult fiction.
Right.
And read that. That's
yes.
adult, as in fiction for adults, not
yes.
adult
yeah,
fiction,
no,
obviously.
Quite.
And I also read Dark Matter a little while ago. And what struck me was that although they were clearly aimed at different audiences and had very different content and subject matter and so forth, they were all still very much definably your style. And I wondered whether that was a conscious thing or whether that was something that just sort of happened. Because I can think of other authors, Philip Reeve, who we're going to... when you look at his 2 or 3 of his works, they're very different in style. And yet, stylistically, you're consistent, even though they're different. And I just wondered if that was a conscious thing or that just kind of something that had evolved.
It certainly wasn't conscious. I mean, no. I think it's just that comes down to what they call the voice. Maybe that's just my voice. And I certainly don't, when I start writing a different type of story, like Dark Matter is a ghost story, different from Chronicles, I don't sort of think I'm going to use a totally different voice. I do think the story probably dictates a little bit of a change in style, but no, I'm not really thinking about that too much. That's really interesting, actually. And also, I tend to think they're all linked in a way. I mean, even the earlier books were sort of love stories, but there was quite a lot of folklore that crept in because I ended up being more interested in the folklore than in the love stories, which was when I realised that I needed to write something different, which is when I started writing Chronicles. So maybe I'm just getting closer and closer to what I really care about.
I'm just saying, I'm just going to do your job for you at the moment, Andrea and Ali. You see, I'm not totally incapable. Issy, who of course is a terrific Litopia stalwart, is asking you a question, Michelle. Have you included, he says, anything about Linear A or Linear B scripts in the Gods and Warriors series? And you might need to explain what they are, actually.
Now, for those people who don't know what Issy is talking about, let me just set the scene there. But great question, Issy. Thank you for that. The time of Gods and Warriors is a time when some cultures were developing some forms of writing. And on Crete, the Minoans had certain kinds of scripts, and one was called Linear A. That's just a name given to it by archaeologists. And nobody really knows what it says. So nobody's really deciphered Linear A. Linear B came along, Issy, just a little bit later than Hylas and Pyrrha's time. They're about 1550 BC, something like that. And so Linear B is a little bit in the future. But yes, I'm going to be including just a little bit about writing, because I think it's really, and obviously when we get to ancient Egypt, which we will in one of the later books in Gods and Warriors, they've got their hieroglyphics. And in fact, I had a really interesting day in the British Museum the other day, learning to paint hieroglyphics using a proper reed pen. They had to cut me a left-handed one because I'm left-handed. So yes, because in those days, of course, we don't know too much, but we know a little bit from ancient Egypt. Writing wasn't just writing stuff down. It was magic. It was a form of magic. It was fraught with power. And when you wrote a person's name, perhaps some people thought you held part of their soul. So that's you can see why I'm interested in possibly bringing it in. But my hero isn't going to be writing out reams. He can't write anyway. So it's going to come in. So nice question.
Sir Naticus, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Hello. Do you have a clan name?
Yeah, it's the Bright Beast.
Hello, the Bright Beast. You're speaking to Michelle.
Hello.
Hello. Do I call you the Bright Beast or? Okay.
Just call me TVB or the Bright Beast.
Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast. Hi. Well, really nice to speak to you. You sound as though you're around the corner, actually. Incredibly near. Very good connection.
How much have you developed the characters' backstories in Gods and Warriors?
Quite extensively. This is what I did for Chronicles as well, and in fact for Dark Matter I do it for all my characters. When I'm getting to know a character before I'm starting to write the story, I do like to write their backstory. It's a way of getting to know the character, and also when you're writing a series like this, 5 books in the case of Gods and Warriors, 6 for Chronicles, as you know, parts of the backstory will be coming through. Sometimes the character will be discovering it themselves in sort of later books, and so I've got to know what the backstory is. It's really difficult, and it's very risky to try to make it up as you go along, and I don't like doing that anyway because it means the characters don't feel real. So yes, I have worked out quite a lot of backstory. It's a tricky one because you don't want to have too much. Otherwise, you end up sort of getting really interested in the backstory and trying to sort of shove in great lumps of it. And these have got to be really exciting adventures, so they mustn't have too much in. So I've probably got more than I need. That's always the way, as with research, you know. Sadly, there may be things that, you know, I'll never be able to get in because you have to leave some stuff out. But I'm looking forward to, revealing quite a lot in later books. The backstory will be quite important, particularly for my hero, Hylas. Particularly for him.
All you've got to do to get a copy of Dark Matter individually signed by Michelle is to do something that catches Andrea's eye in the chat room. That can't be too difficult. Andrea, what sort of things should people do to catch your eye?
Just be sufficiently interesting often enough that I can catch it on this really fast chat.
Okay.
Crime has asked a question which sort of links into what Michelle was just mentioning just now. Right. Crime has asked, does writing about prehistory let your imagination run free or just causes endless problems about what is historically accurate or not?
Yeah, it's a bit of both, actually. That is a good question because I've been saying a lot of the things about, say, for example, what the Minoans used their palaces for, or what did writing mean to them, that sort of thing. We don't know, and that's great for a novelist because you think, oh, right, well, that's where I can pitch in, and I can sort of use what we don't know to create a story, and that's wonderful. But you do then come up against things that we do know, and I guess you can go one of two ways. You can either say, well, who cares? Nobody is going to find out because not many people know about this period. So, hey, I'll just make it up as I go along. That would be much easier to do it that way. And probably a lot of people wouldn't notice, but I'd notice. I do sometimes ask myself, why do I make myself these problems? And it's a case in point, actually, because I started writing a scene a few days ago, and I wanted Pyrrha to be at a certain, I'm going to be cagey here, but a certain place in the house of the goddess. And I was all ready to write this quite exciting scene, and suddenly I realised I didn't know what it looked like. There then followed 3 hours of looking it up in the books, and I couldn't find it anywhere because the wretched archaeologists hadn't written it down because they didn't know, but I didn't know that they didn't know. Really complicated. So that sort of thing is quite tiring, and at that point you think, well, why do I bother? I should just turn to writing fantasy and things. The reason I do bother is, for some reason, it's really important to me that these books could actually have happened. Chronicles, Torak's story and Ren's story and Wolf's story could actually have happened. Nothing is inconsistent with what we know about that period. And I like that. I just like to feel that's why the magic in these stories has to be real magic. It's not horses with wings flying off like Pegasus, which is a later myth from the Greeks. It's real. It could actually have happened, and that makes it more scary, I think, and more powerful. So yeah, really good question. It does make it quite slow. That's why it takes me a year to write each book, because I have to find out these things.
You're speaking to Michelle.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. How are you?
Very good. How are you?
I'm not too bad at all. I'm really impressed with all your technological ability. It's much better than I could do.
What would you like to ask Michelle?
My question is, if you lived back in Torak's time, what clan do you think you'd belong to?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice one. Yeah, I've thought about this because I was quite tempted by being clanless, like Torak. Sorry, Hylas. I've been in the Bronze Age for a while. I was tempted by being clanless because I am a bit of an outsider, like Torak. But I think if I was going to be in a clan, I think I'd like to be in the Raven clan. They're kind of a moderate clan. They don't move camp every day like the Wolf clan. They don't stay put all the time like the Seal clan. They're not as exaggeratedly religious as the Deep Forest clans, who I think are just fanatics, or know-it-alls like the Red Deer clan. And I like the Raven clan. They have fun, and Finkellin's their leader, and he's a pretty good leader. So, plus I like ravens. I'd quite like a pet raven. I'll never have one because they should be free. But So what clan would you want to be in? Do you have a particular clan?
I don't know. I like the Raven clan, but I like the Wolf clan too.
Yeah. They are quite cool. The Wolf clan is definitely a very cool clan, but I've always held it against them a little bit that they were so mean to Torak. So I've never quite been able to forgive them for that. I mean, I think they could have let him down gently, but yeah. So yeah, nice one. Thank you for that. That was an interesting question. It's taken me back.
Thanks for answering my question.
No problem at all. Good to talk to you.
Right.
Can I just jump in with a quick comment there? It was interesting you just said that about them not letting Torak down gently, because that does give you to me, that was kind of the best moment in all of the books was when Torak is clanless and Wolf comes and takes him away.
That was actually my favourite part
that
as
is
well.
the defining moment in the whole 6 books for me, and I thought
I'm really glad
it just
it was
actually Yeah, it has. You have to have that horribleness, don't you, for that to come about?
You do, and as a writer, I hugely enjoyed writing it. It was a very easy scene to write. It was just, I didn't know Wolf was going to come that way, and he did, and it was lovely. And as a writer, I really enjoyed that scene. But I also sort of felt sorry that I was doing that to Torak. It's a very strange business, as you know, being a writer, and so that's why I can say yes, I hold it against the Wolf Clan for being nasty to Torak, even though it was me really who made them do that. It's kind of strange, but good. I'm really glad that registered so strongly with you, because it did with me. And I think, it's one of the first times I've talked about that scene with people. It's funny.
And I can see a couple of questions. Can I just sneak these in first before Ali or Andrea seizes
the spot?
Yeah, we need to find out if any more books are being given away. 2 quick questions, Michelle.
Sure.
First of all, Morgan on the Ree says, what does Michelle think of the Mayan calendar 21st of December end?
Well, I don't know all the details. I've heard a bit about this, but why we should be paying any more attention to the Mayan calendar than anybody else's calendar is something that defeats me slightly. I mean, it's a slightly spooky feeling that the world might end or whatever, but just because a particular, not very old culture sort of worked things out on a certain basis doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Okay, so you're not heading for the hills.
No, I'm not heading for the hills. I think it's quite interesting. But no, I'm not that worried, I have to say.
Oh, good.
So relax.
Gives me confidence. And Ethan, who I know wanted to speak to you, but he hasn't got a microphone.
Oh.
So there's a slight technical problem there.
Well, neither do I, Ethan, so don't worry.
Oh, he says, I'd like to ask Michelle if she got emotionally involved in her writing when she did Gods and Warriors, and did it affect the story? Or does she plan everything out and plans in the details later?
Oh, I do get emotionally involved. It's very strange. How can I describe this? When I'm at the planning stage, this is what sometimes it's very difficult to get across about planning. When I'm planning, it's almost as if I'm an eagle hovering high up above the characters looking down. And I'm thinking, yep, he's going to escape and he's going to go there and that'll probably happen. Once I start writing, I'm on the ground with the characters. When I was writing Chronicles, it was like I was a wolf, sort of padding along next to them. Not wolf, unless I was writing from his point of view, but a wolf. Then it's very different. And that's when I'm really connecting with how they feel. And that is when I do get very emotionally involved. And that's when possibly I will change the plan, because I'll realise, no, he's going to be feeling miserable about this. And he's not going to want to have anything to do with what I thought he would in the plan. I'm trying desperately to think of an example in Chronicles. I mean, the one I think I often give is the one when, in book 2, in Spirit Walker, I was going to have Ren at the beginning and the end of the story. But when I got onto the ground, as opposed to being an eagle hovering over the top, writing from her point of view, there's no way she's going to leave Torak on his own in the Seal Islands. She's going to go and find him. That's what I mean about getting really emotionally involved. So yes, I do.
Right, thank you very much. Now, we've just spoken to a reader and a writer indeed in Canada. We're going even further afield now to Australia.
Great.
Marcus, are you there?
Certainly am. Can you hear me?
Hey, yes.
Loud and clear. Amazing.
What time of day is it there?
It is currently 1:52. A horrible time to be alive.
That is a horrible time. You have my sympathy and my admiration that you stayed up that late. Wow. Thanks for joining us.
What would you like to ask Michelle?
Coffee at my side, but just one question. Just wondering where your travels took you for the Gore series, and what sort of ancient cultures did you come across?
For the what series?
For the Gods and Warriors
series. Gods and Warriors. Right. Well, I went to mainland Greece, particularly the mountains of Sparta. I can't really pronounce them because the Tagetos Mountains, it's difficult to pronounce. I wandered all over those, which is quite a spooky place, I have to say. And then all over that part of Greece, those sort of Western Peloponnese. Again, I'm having to be careful because if I sort of tell you exactly where I went, it's going to give away some parts of the story, and I don't want to have too many spoilers.
That's fair enough.
So thanks. Athens, obviously, for the National Museum, which, if anyone hasn't been, it's just full of the most amazing gold objects from the Mycenaean period. It's just fantastic. And then to Crete, as I mentioned, for some of the great Minoan ruins of Knossos and Phaistos. And I've been several times to Egypt as well, which won't be coming into the first book in Gods and Warriors, but does feature, there's an Egyptian character, and then ancient Egypt comes in, obviously, in later books. So, and I'll be going back. So that's not a sort of one-off trip, because obviously there are different things in different parts of the story. So that's just for starters. Good fun. Yeah, it is. And it really does feel that I've got the characters with me. I used to feel that with Chronicles, that, when I was up in the wilds of Greenland or somewhere, I sometimes, I could almost see Torak and Ren and Wolf because they were so close. And the same things happened with Hylas and Pyrrha in Gods and Warriors.
Yes. Now, we've got a very famous person on the line right now. We've got Mountain Goat. Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, is it worked?
It is. It's working very well. Hello, Mr. Goat. Nice to hear you. What would you like to speak to Michelle about?
Hi.
Wow, I've been trying for like ages. I'm shocked this was.
Well, I'm impressed. You're coming through loud and clear.
Wow.
Fantastic.
I'm pretty surprised. This is dragging it all back to Chronicles of Ancient Darkness.
Great.
Sorry.
No, it's good. I can
right.
be more open about Chronicles than I can about Gods and Warriors. So thank you.
In Outcast, there's a bit where Ren goes to Lake Axehead, and it says she has a flashback of when she was there with Finkadin, and it's about she asks why her father was out on the ice river because there was no prey there, and she asks what he was doing out there when he died, and Finkadin says, "I'll tell you when she's older, when you're older," and I couldn't find what happened. Is that something we're meant to work out ourselves, and I'm being a bit thick?
You're not being thick at all. You're absolutely not being thick. It's never cleared up in the story, the series. That's one of those things. I mean, we were talking earlier, I don't know if you were listening, about the backstory and how you have a lot of backstory and you don't always get a chance to tie up every loose end, as it were. And that's one of those things that I thought about putting in, and then there was never a place where emotionally it would have worked. And I think what I was hoping that might occur to some people, but doesn't have to, is that, Ren's father had a pretty miserable time with his mate, Seshru, who was not the ideal mate, really, although, gorgeous and all the rest of it. And that probably led him to wander off onto the ice field. But I just didn't feel there was any particular, from Ren's point of view, from the character's point of view, she lost her father, and that was the key emotional thing. And then she had Finkadin as a sort of substitute father, her uncle. And then there was the other key emotional thing about her mother, and those were the key things that really defined her. And I didn't really feel how she lost him was as important. But no, you weren't being thick, well spotted.
Thank you.
Your readers are anything but thick.
God, I know.
They notice these details, don't they?
Really scary.
Yes.
I'm just glad I could remember, the workings and why I made that decision.
Yes.
I reread it yesterday, so I saw
really?
that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Because we're doing a sort of Far North guide thing. We're sort of doing some writing all about the clans of the Far North, and I'm reading through the books for information, and I saw it and thought, I wonder what happened to her father.
It's really interesting you should say that, because I was thinking about the Far North clans just a few days ago, actually, and because of course there's also the body that Torak finds in the blizzard, laid out. That's when he finds the I think it's the third part of the Nanwak, isn't it? The lamp lying beside him, and there are some things that it would be interesting to go back and just take it a bit further north even than Soul Eater. What a good idea.
That's very far north.
Thank you very much, Mountain Goat.
Exactly.
Fantastic to speak to you.
Good to talk to you. Thanks for that.
Cheers. I see in the chat room, Black Wolf has just said good night. It's 2 a.m.
Yes.
I think that must be Australia, mustn't it?
Good night,
Yep.
Black Wolf. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And of course, that will be Monday morning.
Wow.
Actually.
Well done, Black Wolf, for
Well
staying
done
with us.
indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have one from our first winner. I'm not sure how to pronounce their name. Imania is the Black Wolf. And it was basically, what was your favorite part of researching the Chronicles, meeting the wolves at the Wolf Conservation Trust, or something else?
Well, the wolves are, I mean, I don't think I can say just one favourite. Favourites are always really tricky. I mean, yeah, meeting the wolves has been an amazing experience, and, you know, continues to be. I mean, I'm still friends with Torak, the wolf, and I'm going up there in a few weeks' time. Yeah, that was profound, and the image of a friendly wolf trotting towards you and putting his hands on his paws on your shoulder and sort of licking your nose, it's just wonderful. I think the other thing that I found really profound was swimming with the wild killer whales. It was just extraordinary. Partly because it was really cold up there, and so, you know, you're in a very hostile environment, and it was in November, so it's only a few up in the Arctic, so it's only a few hours of daylight, and being dressed in this very warm suit, dry suit, and then floating, looking down at thousands of feet of water, and hearing the whales clicking and whistling in this incredibly strange world that's so foreign to us. And then seeing one swimming right underneath me. It didn't last very long, but I'll never forget that. That really did feel like such a privilege, and such strange, beautiful creatures. So that made a big impression on me. And I think the polar bear as well, getting quite close to a wild polar bear. Yeah, so it's the kind of encounters with large animals, probably top predators. That'll do it, I think, because when you look into their eyes, you get something back, and but you don't really know what they're thinking. So yeah, nice question. Thank you.
They're thinking lunch, aren't they?
Well, with the polar bear, he definitely was thinking lunch. Definitely. And that was really part of the frisson, because he was looking up at me and I was leaning over the edge of what they call a tundra buggy, which has sort of got an open-air platform about 6 feet up from the ground. So, and this strange thing that, you know, if I'd put my hand out, he would have bitten it off. In fact, that's what had happened to a tourist a year before. So, and yet he was looking at me quite sort of innocently, and I'll never really forget the look in his eyes. Yeah, but lunch, yeah.
I suppose it is a kind of innocence in a way, because there's no morality or ethics involved.
There's no malice. There's no aggression.
No.
That's what they always get wrong in certain types of Hollywood movies, that the predator growls at the prey. They don't. There's no aggression towards the prey.
No.
They're just intent, which is a different thing.
Yes. The great one is always Jaws 3. This time it's personal. I remember that as
it's ridiculous.
it's quite a curious concept.
Is all the research you do sort of part of a sort of almost social responsibility towards your readers, to make sure that it is accurate, as it were?
I don't really feel the social responsibility to the readers. Sorry, readers. No, I feel the responsibility to the past. For some reason, I don't like to misrepresent the past.
Right.
I mean, of course, there's responsibility to readers. You don't want to let them down. You want to tell them a good story. If they're 9, you don't want to put horrific things in their head without a resolution at the end. But no, I think I do. I have a responsibility to the past. I want to represent it in its complexity and its beauty and mystery. I don't want to sell it short and patronise it.
Andrea, how many books have you given away so far?
I've just made it to 11. You've said 15 minutes, so I'm like, I'm going to have to do this a little faster.
And what are people doing exactly to get a book?
They're just entertaining me, really.
Great.
So you're having a little private party, are you?
Entertaining me, and they could be, talking to each other, as long as I find it interesting.
Okay, so that's all you got to do. You've just got to entertain Andrea and you get a book. Sounds all right.
Yeah.
Okay. I see Half-Blood Ryan has just won a book.
Oh, excellent. Hello, Half-Blood Ryan.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Nice to see you again.
Very nice.
Andrew, what did he do?
Well, general extreme excitement all the time.
Fantastic.
He's one of the few who's managed to read the proof, so he gets to be more excited, I think.
Okay.
He's got an insider's view, hasn't he?
Well, I'm sure he'll play fair, as he always does, and not put any spoilers on the. But fantastic. Yes, somehow I thought he probably would.
Yes.
Fantastic. In fact, actually, yes. It's coming back to me now. Yes, I signed one myself for him.
He's got a grand collection.
Yeah.
Ali.
Valkyrie Net, I think that might be almost correct, wanted to know what your typical working day looked like. Do you have a writing goal? Do you set yourself targets?
I do. I try to do 6 hours a day. I don't have a sort of number of words. It's hours for me. So, yeah, I mean, and I'm much sharper in the morning. So what I tend to do, now that I've moved somewhere near a wood, I'll get up quite early and go for a walk. Feed the crows, make friends with them, whatever. But I do. I go into the woods. I mean, now that it's summer, it's great. I was there at 6 o'clock the other day for about an hour. Then I'll try to write. Do about 4 hours in the morning. Have some lunch. Maybe go shopping or whatever I need to do, and then do some more in the afternoon. That's the typical, the ideal, I should say, because then I get phone calls and I get people ringing saying, "Could you just talk to so and so for an interview or do this Q&A for this website," things like that. I'm going to Scotland for Orkney and Shetland for a small tour of some schools in a week's time. That'll be fun, but I won't be writing. So and I've just come back from Amsterdam to meet some booksellers. So there's lots of other things as well that a writer has
need to be done, don't they? And you're going off. You're doing a lot of publicity later in the year, of course, when the first book of Gods and Warriors comes out. Can you do any writing while you're away doing publicity?
Sometimes. I have actually written whole chapters sitting in airports.
Wow.
Just with a pen and paper, that sort of thing. But it depends. If it's Edinburgh Festival and you're signing for 3 hours after your event, no, that gets a bit tiring.
Well, if you pretend to be a non-EU national and go to Heathrow, you could get a whole book done right now.
You certainly could. You certainly could. That's always an option. Yeah.
Now, looking at the chat room, which is, of course, litopia.tv/rad, I see that Andrea is giving books away like a crazy person.
Yes.
She's gone completely mad,
I'm going to be signing.
So I think she's up to 16. Is that right? 16 so far?
Yep, I'm up to 16. Got 4 to go.
You've just given away the 16th, I think, was to somebody called Litopian086.
Yep.
You're not a number, you're a human being, Litopian. For this, all right? Now, this will give you, if you haven't got a free book yet, this is what you've got to do to get one. This is what made Andrea very happy. And Litopian086 said this: one of my favourite parts of the series, that's Chronicles, was when I discovered that Rip and Wreck had been keeping Pebble alive. I love discoveries like this, where things that took place earlier in the book finally have more meaning. All of a sudden, those times that the Ravens stole food from Wren had more altruistic intent. That was. I'm
so pleased someone's picked up on that.
Isn't that great?
That's great because
you
some
deserve
of these
a book.
things. Yeah, I'm really pleased about. I'm pleased about that too because those are those little things. And as a writer, you don't expect everybody to say, "Oh, I love this bit and I love that bit," but there are certain little bits sometimes that you're really pleased with, and nobody mentions them, and that's fine. You just think, well.
Is that the first time anyone's mentioned that?
Yes.
Isn't that cool?
It is the first time. So thank you. I'm pleased.
Definitely deserve a book for that. Anything else like that? If you want a book, just make Andrea happy. More importantly,
that doesn't matter. I'm just writing the books. I'm just signing them. It doesn't matter about that.
That's pretty cool. We've only got 6.5 minutes left, so you're going to have to be pretty fast if you want to get a free book. Right, now look, we are just a little bit past our allotted time now, so I think what we need to do is to go to Andrea first for a final roundup of the chat room. And Andrea, what's the tally now?
I've made it to 18.
18?
But yes, but all the active chatters have already been sufficiently interesting.
Fantastic.
So they've already all.
Well done to you all, and I will be signing your books.
Yeah.
Shortly.
Yeah,
in the
in
next
a few minutes.
I'm not allowed to go home until I have.
No, make sure if you have been awarded a book, make sure you've sent Andrea a PM or an email or possibly a chat message. If you're particularly good at IIC, you could do that as well. But
I need to know how you want the book signed, to whom you want it signed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make sure you say that, and make sure you also include your postal address to which we can send it. So, well done, Andrea. Ali, well done for you too. And can you tell me, please, if there's anything else in the chat room that's caught your attention that you haven't mentioned so far?
Well, they're all volunteering to be wolves in the film, actually. No, I've just been terribly impressed with the wolf pack, as it were. They've been really active and really contributing. Clearly know everything in detail, and just been an awful lot of fun reading their work stream. So well done to them.
That's the clan.
They all deserve their books. Whoever got one,
they do.
Fantastic.
Cut above the rest, and especially a special thank you to those people who were not in our time zone.
Yes, wonderful,
Very
wonderful
impressive.
dedication. Yeah, thanks for that.
And
Thanks to all of you.
Dave, thank you for being with us today as well. Dave Bartram, my regular co-host on Litopia After Dark, which is not going out tonight, but we are back to whatever passes for normal this time, 8 o'clock UK next week, when Philip Reeve is our guest, actually. Good. Now, look, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has taken part in this. I've enjoyed the past 90 minutes enormously, and I know, judging by what's been going on in the chat room, you have too. Congratulations to everybody who's got a book. Well deserved. If you didn't get a book, stick around on the clan, and you may well find that there are books and other things being given away very soon for other suitable achievements, because from now on until the launch of Gods and Warriors, it's going to get very intense, very interesting, definitely the place to be on the internet. Jointheclan.com. Just want to say a special word to Andrea, who will not be with us for the next few months, will you?
No. Am I supposed to say why?
I think you should. You can't hold out on the clan.
Okay, well, I have mentioned it to some people on the clan, but I guess not everyone will know. But I'm basically having a baby this summer.
Yes.
So
and
I think I'm going to be suffering through lack of sleep.
And everything else too. Well, we all wish you the very best, obviously. All the clanners do. No, Michelle does too.
Very much so, yeah.
Good.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much for being with us today, everybody. It's been a fantastic time. The biggest person to thank of all, of course, is Michelle. Without him, none of this would ever have been possible.
Well,
You've touched and changed a lot of people's lives.
Well, thank you. I've really enjoyed. I always enjoy coming on one of these podcasts. It's lovely talking to the clanners. I'm just amazed at your knowledge of the books, and it's. I have to say, it's also incredibly encouraging. I know I say this every time, but it really, really is. You know, as I said, I had 5 hours of very tricky writing this morning, and it was jolly difficult. And I know I'll go back invigorated and encouraged, and it's a real shot in the arm. So it'll help book 2 be even better. So
we're all behind
thanks.
you.
It's been fantastic, and yeah, fantastic. And to all of you who are keen on writing and are writing your own stuff, good luck. And it is hard, but it's worth it in the end. So, yeah, fantastic.
Thank you,
so
Michelle.
much.
And guys, we'll catch you on the clan. Good night, everybody. Night night.
Good night.